We're talking Eastern Michigan Eagles today on Sharpen the Point. Last season, 5-7, but we always know Chris Creighton in his 12th season, he's going to be able to produce. He's one of the quality coaches in the MAC conference. His tenure's been filled with peaks and valleys, but he's gotten the most out of what he's had to work with. They managed to add Max Crosby as almost a consultant at this point. I don't know how that'll work out. It can't hurt recruiting. It can only help it. Quarterback, longtime MAC staple, Cole Snyder, who was at Buffalo and moved on to Eastern Michigan. He's going to depart via graduation off a solid season where he put up a respectable 2,715 touchdowns. But ultimately, the amount of turnovers and sacks really hurt the offense. It was just too many negative plays, specifically in the turnover department. In comes Noah Kim. I am not a Noah Kim fan. I apologize to the Kim family. He comes from Coastal Carolina. He had a stint at Michigan State. He's not been able to secure a starting role yet in his college career, really, except for a small stint as the starter at Michigan State. But he exhibited similar struggles that hampered Snyder when given an opportunity. On a positive note, his one start against a MAC opponent while he was at Michigan State was against Central Michigan. He had 279 yards and 2 touchdowns. But obviously his supporting cast was much better being at Michigan State. I kind of like Cameron Edge, who's going to back up Kim. He comes from Maryland. He provides some upside if Kim continues along his career trajectory. It's just we haven't seen a lot of Edge in game experience. So I am interested. It's almost like, the box you know versus the box you don't know what you're going to get. I'm kind of interested in Edge. I think we might see him at some point during the season, and it might spark the offense a little bit. Looking at running back, leading rusher Delbert Mims departs following an 800-yard, 9-touchdown season. It leaves a ton of questions about how the run game's going to perform. I expect Dante McMillan to lead the room out of the gate with transfers James Joyner from Liberty and Tavier Dunlap from Michigan backing him up. I think they're really nipping at his heels for playing time because there's not much to distinguish McMillan from those two. Dunlap specifically had 41 yards and a touchdown in the spring game. He looks to lead, to me, over Jointer, given the pedigree and his capability with what he's done so far in the offseason. Pass catching wise, the loss of Orrin Singleton to West Virginia and Marcus Allen to Mississippi State take away 2 of the top 3 from a year ago, which is going to definitely hurt the depth of the passing game. Snyder was, serviceable enough to get them the football. Kim's going to chuck it all over the yards, just a matter of how much he's going to turn it over. Terry Lockett Jr. returns as the top target. He led the team in yards and touchdowns a year ago. He is probably more important, although him and Singleton would have been a nice combo to have for Kim. I expect his target share to expand further given the new faces lining up with him. Lockett should see a much larger share with Singleton and Allen gone. I don't dislike Porter Rooks and P.D. Tucker. I think they round out the starting trio. They're both talented guys. They just have yet to reach their full potential on the field. Porter Rooks coming over from NC State previously. P.D. Tucker, JUCO, I believe. And so they're talented. It's just a matter of, Lockett's clearly the one in this situation. One of those two needs to emerge to help Lockett get a little bit of the coverage rolled away from him. I think we have a true competition at tight end with now that Max Reese departed for Mississippi State. Nothing different here. You got MAC guys leaving late in the portal. So I expect there to be plenty of rotation here. Kentucky transfer Tanner LeMaster to me looks like an interesting piece. I think he could pay dividends over the long haul. I don't know that he comes out of the gate being the top guy at the tight end position, but he has some talent, and I think he could show through. Along the offensive line, the loss of center Broderick Roman to Southern Miss, right guard Carson Lee to Mississippi State, they're both going to hurt. As each were quality pass blockers last season, they kind of held the middle and made it so that there was clean pockets. Overall, the line is undergoing changes with the leadership and plenty of inexperienced faces. Nothing new across the MAC where there's a ton of turnover. And one of those returning faces, though, is left guard Mickey Relinski. He took a lot of reps in the spring at center, and I think he's going to fill in that leadership role, moving from left guard to center. You need that anchor point. You need that guy pointing out the offensive line, where they're going to be protection-wise, things like that. And he's going to be able to take care of that. So that's going to be one positive to bringing the group together itself. Along the defensive line, the loss of defensive end Joey Zielinski departing for Pitt is minimal, but it's a depth piece. Sack leader Peyton Price and key contributor Dylan Shelton are also gone, but this is a older group with 4 seniors projected to start. So at least they're well built, well acquainted with, they got those older bodies being able to stand up to stuff. Specifically Jefferson Adam, he stands out in the group of returners as he looks to build upon his 3.5 sacks from a year ago. I like him. He's going to be able to get after the passer, provide some rush there, and hold up well in the run game. He's probably the key linchpin for me along that defensive line. At linebacker, you lose the top 2 tacklers. Middle linebacker James Duncan, he goes to Virginia Tech after 98 tackles in only 10 games. Losing outside linebacker Luke Murphy to Coastal Carolina with 94 tackles. That's also going to hurt. Those are some large shoes to fill. That middle linebacker spot, I think, is going to be Caden Bailey, a Syracuse transfer in all likelihood. Marco Paterno from Elon, he made his mark in the spring game. He had 2 sacks. He's going to be able to be in the mix. And key returner Zach Mauchin, he's going to be in the mix as well. So we got a little bit of a competition there for some playing time, but competition's a good thing. Defensive back-wise, Daquan White led the team in pass breakups. He goes to Georgia Tech. Free safety Quintravious Sandrett, he goes to Arkansas. Those are both very tough losses. They would have been great to keep a hold of. The group overall returns a number of players who played some a year ago, along with transfer Davion Williams, who's likely to replace Sandrett. Eliminating explosive plays and generating takeaways is going to be key for them being successful this season on the defensive side of the ball. The question is, can they do that? Looking at the schedule and outlook for the season, there's a lot of questions on both sides of the ball. The one thing we know is that Chris Creighton is a heck of a coach, and he's going to have these guys coached and get the most out of them as a group. Noah Kim needs to be his best self as a gunslinger while limiting the turnovers and sacks. That's going to be a key. You need to eliminate the negative plays, create more negative plays on defense. Eastern Michigan's just had a consistent situation where they lose the turnover battle, and it's tough. They also need somebody to step up in the running back room to lead the way, and the offensive line struggled mightily to hold back the D-line in the spring. And while I believe the defensive line is going to be a strength of this defensive unit relative to the back seven isn't proven enough for my liking with the guys they lost from a year ago. Looking at the schedule-wise, at Texas State, that's an unlikely win. That's a quality Sun Belt program. It's a good matchup. But going on the road, playing in Texas, that's going to be a hot game. It's going to be nasty. They have a good offense. You can't expect to win that game. Getting Long Island at home, you get a nice win on the board, come out 1-1, not too bad. Then you have to go to Kentucky. They're going to take your lumps there. That's a pay to lose game. Get ULL at home, Louisiana Lafayette. That's a loss. That's another quality Sun Belt team. At Central Michigan, I believe that's a coin flip game. I think you can get a win there, and it would be nice. But coming off of those 2 previous games, those are tough teams to play against. I would lean loss, but I think that there is opportunity there. At Buffalo, that's a tough game. They're returning so much on defense. They're a quality run game. I think they can bully Eastern Michigan up and down the field. Northern Illinois, very similar to Buffalo. They just play a better brand of what each team wants to do. This MAC schedule is nasty early. At Miami of Ohio, that's just a better roster. Against Ohio at home, they're a better roster. You get Bowling Green at home. I don't think Bowling Green is going to be nearly what they have been this year. Eddie George is going to take some time to build this thing. That's a likely win for me. At Ball State, likely win as well. I don't think they're capable with the quarterback play they have of being able to keep up with a well-coached team like this is. And then Western Michigan, that's a tough game. It's a maybe. It's a coin flip game. I would lean Western Michigan. So outside of Long Island and Central Michigan, it's really a brutal start to the season with a tough non-con and what are likely to be 4 of the top 5 MAC teams, early in the season. So winning 5 games is going to be a heck of a result with this schedule. And getting to a bowl game it would be one of Creighton's better coaching jobs, of his career, to get a bowl game out of this. We've seen peaks and valleys. This feels like another valley for Chris Creighton as he tries to rebuild again. Most likely scenario for this team, 3 to 4 wins, but these guys are always dangerous. We know a Creighton team's going to be dangerous. So we'll hope for some more, but they're going to need some upsets in order to get that done.